you're any age younger than mine, you grew up with this family, and we're going to have three of those folks on here today to talk about the Brady Bunch, the associated shows that came after it, and everything that these folks have done between then and now, and it's going to be a great time. Let me just start by just going over some of the other Wizard World virtual experiences that we're going to have coming up over the next few days. So you'll want to check out tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We have Doctor Who. And then at 4 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow, it's Rogue One from the Star Wars universe. Next Saturday, Game of Thrones. We'll have stars from Game of Thrones here. Next Sunday, we're going to have a 60s flashback. You think this is a flashback? We've got one also next Saturday. Next Sunday, it's going to be Mary Wilson, Jerry Mathers, Stanley Livingston from My Three Sons will be here. And then next Saturday, November 7th, the following Saturday, it's going to be the X-Men animated series. So we're going to have those folks here coming up next week. So hopefully that'll be something that you can take part in. Wizard World Virtual is the place to go, not only for everything that's going on in the future at Wizard World Virtual Experiences, but also to be able to purchase live one-on-one chats with celebrities, including the ones we're going to have coming up today, autographs, and recorded videos. Those are all available at wizardworldvirtual.com. Whether you're watching today on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, make sure you go into the chat rooms and ask questions. We're going to get to as many as we can during this 40 minutes or so that we're going to have these folks on. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have folks in the chat rooms now. If you know what you want to ask, put those questions in there right away. Tag Wizard World on that. We have folks from all over the world who are tuned in. Also, Wizard World Vault. That's the place where for 20 plus years we've been doing Comic-Cons and pop culture festivals all across the world. We've culled the best materials from those 20 plus years, and they're all at wizardworldvault.com. Well, he is a star of stage and screen. In addition to 50 TV credits, he's a singer, an author, a writer, a producer, a musician. He fronts Barry Williams and the Traveliers. He also appeared in Mission Impossible, Adam 12, Marcus Welby, MD. You know him as Greg Brady. Here is the great Barry Williams. And look at that.
Hey!
Barry, welcome back to Wizard World.
Thank you very much.
What I didn't mention is that Barry is one of the more frequent guests we've had recently at Wizard World, and you did a show with us 10 years ago, and then, you know, you've been back. So we're really excited to have you here today.
Yes, I'm excited to be here too. It's I'm coming to you from my home territory, which is smack dab in the Midwest in the beautiful Branson, Missouri area of the Ozark Mountains. So I'm happy to be with you. I think this is a very exciting way of presenting a fan experience and one for me and my Brady mates as well.
Excellent. Appreciate you being with us. Our second guest was seen in dozens of commercials before landing the role of the youngest son, Bobby, in the series. He also had a role in The Towering Inferno, a few other Brady reprisals. Then he left show business to take part in the concrete business, ran a very successful company back in Utah for years. He returns to the screen today here at Wizard World Virtual Experiences. Here is Mike Lookinland.
Hi, you guys.
Mike, welcome back to Wizard World.
Thanks, Jerry. It's anybody who's met us at a Wizard World show knows that we really like to meet them, and we like to see them and talk with them and hear from them. And I got to hand it to you guys for coming up with a way that we can do this today. So well done.
Well, I know I've been looking forward to this, and a lot of my friends have been looking forward to this, and a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter that we've been talking to this week have been looking forward to this. So thanks for returning here and being part of this for us. Thanks so much. Okay, she's an actress, a singer, a voice actress, an animal welfare advocate, an artist, a radio host. She's done a few commercials and TV roles along the way before being cast as the youngest daughter, Cindy. Here is Susan OLSEN. All right.
Hi.
Susan, welcome to Wizard World.
Not into my camera.
This is the first. Now, this is your first Wizard World with us ever. I'm so excited to say.
It's my first time, so be gentle.
All right, I got to do a little adjusting here. Now we can see everybody. Now everything is good. So welcome first to Wizard World, and second just to to our little party here. This is great. Now we've got to do this, guys, because whenever we do one of these, all right, we always talk about, hey, we look like the Brady Bunch, and now we really look like the Brady Bunch. So you ready? All right, now we're Brady Bunch. We have folks watching from, where are they watching from? You ready? London, New York City, Pennsylvania, California, Chicago, Texas, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Brooklyn, LA, Michigan, Toronto. It's everywhere. So welcome to you guys, and to fans all across the world who are watching us. Thank you so much. Go ahead and make sure you get your questions in to those chats, and we'll get as many of them answered as we can during this time period. But first, want to ask you guys about last year. You got together for the renovation. Tell us about the Very Brady renovation and what it was like getting back together, and what memories that kind of spurred in you. Barry, you want to start?
Well, you are looking at the fruits of that show right behind you, because that is the renovated house. And it'd have to be, right? If that's a recent picture.
No,
Is it
that's
just
the
a
old
wall?
one, Barry.
I think that's the old one.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks, well, there you go. And
That
that's my whole
gigantic
point.
20-foot tall hedge, that huge 20-foot high hedge between the house and the one to the right of it isn't there.
Okay.
Hey, there's one.
All right, and there you were at the renovation.
At the renovation. Well, that was kind of my point, is that it looks exactly the same now, but it didn't look the same on the inside. We had a great time. It was a year-long process with HGTV. They call it a renovation. I call it a demolition construction project, because there wasn't much that resembled our set, but it sure does now. It was great fun, and great fun for all of us to be together, not just together, but also being ourselves and not playing roles, because it wasn't Greg and Bobby and Cindy there. It was Barry and Mike and Susan.
And
When
we were
people-
able to reminisce as ourselves.
When people ask, we've done, you guys might know the number, but it's at least 10 or 12 reunion shows of in one form or another. And when people ask me now, what was your favorite reunion show you did over the years? And I say, hands down, it's that one. It's the renovation show. It was such a blast and so much fun. And they treated us so well. And the outcome was so amazing. It's perfect. And I wish you could all go in there and see it, but you got to get by the security guard. Good luck with that.
So
Yeah, it transforms people. They walk through if they don't cry when they walk in the doors, they turn into children. And but it's a really good thing. Everybody feels good. I think there could be healing powers of that house.
I would like to go ahead and answer what would have to be a question for so many viewers about the renovation show, and that is, what's going to happen with the house now that it's completed? And the first thing to understand is that area is a residential area, and it's not zoned for commercial usage. So they can't turn it into a museum. You can't go there and buy a ticket and go through it. You can look at it from the outside, but the reality is that at this point, even HGTV, who purchased the home for about 3 times its value, doesn't know what they're going to do with it. So that's still a question up in the air. They have run a couple of contests there. There have been a couple of cooking shows from HGTV on, but they really don't have yet a clear plan of what it's going to be.
First question coming from the fans, and we'll start with this one. Eric Levitt 387 asks what it was like working with Florence Henderson, and what was your favorite funny scene you did with Florence? Susan, we'll start with you on that.
Well, one of the funniest things that she did, it sort of spoiled me, because now if you look at like the gag reel at the end of movies, got them on DVD, they're nothing. Florence would create gag reels, and Florence would deliberately mess up the scene in a way that was so funny, just because she knew that this is back in the days of film, and it would get developed overnight, and then the producers and everybody would watch it the next day during lunch. So she'd do this to give everybody a laugh. And like my favorite was one of the times when Robert Reed, playing Mike Brady, walked in the door, and always it was, "Honey, I'm home." And she took off her shoes and threw them at him and goes, "Get out of here, you old fart. I'm sick and tired of you coming home." And just shocked him. So she would do little things like that, grabbing Joe Namath by the neck and having him carry her away when we were all saying goodbye to him. They take me away from all these horrible children. So she was just funny. And that was part of her way of making the set a funny place. I mean, everybody loved her. The grips, the cameramen, the electricians. She was great.
She could
Why don't we do this together? We got to go have lunch because my boat
double
docked.
My boat's double docked. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Film production can be a little bit on the intense side, and when you get behind schedule, there's a lot at stake, and she could just light up the room and lighten the mood with one glib comment. And she was, I realize now that she was about the same age as my mother, which seems incredibly young now. And our parents, even though they were never on camera, and Florence, we were this big giant melded family. And that's one reason it all worked out so nicely, is because, we treated each other like family, on screen and off.
It's interesting how, Michael, how the roles, we each of us kind of assumed aspects of the roles, and Florence was no exception. As children going through this huge monumental experience of being on television weekly, traveling, recording, doing concerts, getting requests for interviews and etc., promotional events, it was sometimes overwhelming. And Florence was a great guide for us and a great mentor for us. And she really, really came from the school of appreciating fans and the people that watched her, that were paying attention to us. So she was a good role model for us in how we can interact, because it seems like sometimes with fans, there's more familiarity on their part with us than our part with them. But there is a way to bridge that. And Florence really was masterful at that. And so I've always appreciated that she shared that with us and kind of opened up our world so that whole aspect of our lives it could be opened up and enjoyed.
I remember one thing specifically that I haven't brought up for years that Florence guided us on, which was, if you're sitting down at a restaurant at lunch and someone comes up for your autograph, be polite and say, "I'm eating right now." Do you guys remember this? Mm-hmm. Florence said, "Be polite and say, 'I'm eating right now, but I will be with you when I'm done with my lunch.'" And she said, she was the one that taught me, no fans, no show. Right, be good to your fans, because without your fans, there's no show, right? I mean, you guys out there literally are part of all this.
Yeah. Yeah. And she also was a great mom, had 4 kids of her own. I know you want to get on to the next question, but we would go to her home. Her son and I used to have double birthday parties together at her house. So I used to see her as a real mom.
We're even friends still with all of her children as well.
Well, along the same lines, that is a question from Sean, from Linda in New Zealand. So she's gotten up early to watch us the next day here in New Zealand. Wanted to know if Florence and Robert Reed were like real parents to you on the set.
I think especially for us younger ones, because when we started up doing the Brady's, which is the last incarnation of a TV show for us, and I I really didn't want to be an actress at the time, and they called me. And so I was doing it, and I was on the set, and I was very, very nervous. And I saw Florence and Bob enter the stage together. And there was this instant feeling over me of, oh, Mom and Dad are here. It's going to be okay.
We each had our own families, obviously, that we would each go back to every day after work. So to me, their influence was more professional guidance, but the answer is still yes. They were, like I said, we were all like one big giant family.
That's right. That's right. And the other thing about both of them, and I think Susan particularly appreciated this, they didn't treat us like kids or like we're in the way. They treated us like young adults, like people, like professionals,
Colleagues,
peers, yeah.
And rather than being parental with guidance, they would offer advice. But for instance, Robert Reed, who's a classically trained actor from the Royal Academy and had a lot of experience with the classics on stage and brought all of that to the television show, would play acting games with us. So we had scenes and we would read them, and sometimes we would play theatrical games. For instance, speed read-throughs. So we'd all say our lines as fast as we could. Sometimes we would change roles, and I might play Bobby's role, and et cetera, mix them up so that we could kind of understand points of view. And then we would talk about what's the point of this scene, and then we would make up a different one and see if we could achieve that, so that we could learn our craft. And they were very supportive of our careers and our interests and where we were headed when the show was to end.
Yeah, and that too, because even though you guys had done some roles and some things before, for all of you, I think this was obviously your first kind of big, and they made you feel comfortable, which is kind of really important. Some other questions from folks, some we've already talked about, but Kathleen Gross wanted to know about the HGTV. So thanks, Kathleen, for your question.
One more
Brian.
thing I could add to that on
Sure.
HGTV, because many people don't know this, but that show, as a reality show, was nominated this year for an Emmy Award.
It's really good, and folks who love this series and some of the other iterations, if you haven't gone and watched the HGTV, it's going to bring back a lot of memories, obviously, from seeing the way the rooms are done. But it's just very well done television. HGTV does everything well, and
it stands alone as a monumental piece of work, if you ask me, because they not only had to work around all of our schedules and all of the HGTV hosts' schedules, they also had to do this massive renovation in a tight space and make a TV show all at the same time. The behind the scenes guys are heroes, if you ask me.
Yes.
On that show.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference too. Just the fact that it's well produced. So you're saying it's better than this?
Yes,
Because I don't know if anything is better than this. This is pretty much the height of television.
That's from
Hollywood Bowl. When I think Barry Williams, when I think Barry Williams in my head, that's what I picture right there. Yeah.
Yeah, because Mike's got the Pro going, so it's Variety Hour.
It's two different parts of the same episode. We put them together, but look, and that's campy fun also. You can go back and watch that, and people, that was just a couple years after the series, right? So your kids are still young adults, but a little bit older, and it still has the fun. Like that's still fun watching the Variety Hour. I think I enjoy the Variety Hour. I'm sure you guys have heard different opinions from people.
Sure, a lot of people aren't aware that it existed. And some, I'd like, if you go to some of the YouTube channels, like I thought that this was a bad acid trip or a weird dream that I had, because it's so surreal. It's so bizarre. And I got involved in a book about, which is just everything you'd ever want to know about the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. And it's called Love to Love You Brady's. And it's actually pretty good. I wrote the sidebars, did some of the graphic art, and Ted Nicholson did the main writing. I mean, and it's completely thorough, and it's really an entertaining book. And Lisa Sutton did the design. So,
and Barry, you have your book.
It's still on Amazon.
And Barry, you have your book that came out a few years ago.
Quite a few years ago now. Yeah. So long ago, I updated it. long ago. Growing Up Brady, yes. Growing Up Brady was really a book that focused on the 5 years of growing up. And I tried to capture both the environment and also the arc of how our lives changed during those 5 years. You know, Susan came on board. You were 7, yes? 7 went off when we were 12. I was 14 going off when it was 20. When I was 20, those were impactful years for all of us. So it was an exploration into that.
I learned a lot by reading Growing Up Brady, stuff that I, didn't know about the show because I was just a little child. And then NBC, was it NBC, Barry, that made an MOW? And my son played me in Barry's movie of the week production of Growing Up Brady, which was quite a,
Awesome.
I don't know, what would you call it?
Surreal.
It was crazy weird, and it was great. So great.
And you know what's cute about that was his son auditioned for that in much the same way that we're talking to you right now. He did a video and sent it over, and we were all sat around. I was the producer on that, and said, "This is perfect. This is perfect." But it was wild. And you came to the set with him at some point, didn't you? And
yeah, I was there. Kelly was
watching
there.
your son play you then, and it's crazy.
And I visited, and Mike and I.
Go ahead, Susan.
Mike and I were freaking out over his son walking ahead of us. The same walk that we used to walk to the commissary, and he's with this little girl that's playing me, and we're just walking behind, going, "Oh, this is weird," in a wonderful way.
It was Kaylee Cuoco played Marcia, or Maureen actually played Maureen in early, one of her first credits.
Right.
Want to remind everyone, if you're in Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, go ahead. We're going to close off questions soon, so get your last questions in. But remember that you can go to wizardworldvirtual.com to get those live video chats that each of these folks will be doing individually next Saturday. So make sure if you're watching this on replay or you're watching it live, there's still time to get that. Also, autographs, recorded videos, those fun recorded videos. They're doing it all. So that's next Saturday. Make sure you get into wizardworldvirtual.com to check those out. There's some different merchandise in there as well. Wizardworldvirtual.com. Just click on the Brady Bunch one. You'll see all the things we have coming up for folks during the week and then into next week.
So Jerry, the live chats give us a chance to talk one-on-one with fans for a few minutes, and they can ask as many questions as they want, or we can squeeze in.
And there's such an experience, and we've done thousands of those by now between all the different celebrities we've done, and they are a very memorable experience. So we're getting some great questions in here, but I'm sure fans have things they're going to want to ask, and that's what those one-on-one video chats are for.
Like I said going in, we love to see you guys. We love to meet you, and we love to talk to you. So.
And this is the forum we have to do that now. We can't have a Wizard World show in person yet. So when we're able to do that, we'll bring you guys back to that. But for now, we've got this. And it's what's neat about it is we mentioned all those places across the world that people are watching from. All those places across the world, that's where people do the one-on-one video. So it's going to be a great experience for you guys as well as celebrities, as well as
that adds a whole new dynamic, because somebody in Amsterdam is not going to be at the show in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
So that's actually a plus,
Yeah, it's been,
and you might have noticed by now that we can do this for hours. Not that maybe
as a matter of fact, it seems to me, Michael, that when we started this, you didn't even have a beard.
See that? Right. We can continue on forever and ever.
You could do a time lapse.
Right.
So we
as
have
my
a question.
Rip Van Winkle comes in.
We have a question from Dominic D, and I'm going to change this question a little bit. But Dominic D has a question regarding some of the places you guys travel. But here's how I'm going to ask it. I want you to rank these 3 places that the Bradys traveled. You ready? Rank them. Hawaii.
1.
Grand Canyon.
2.
Cincinnati.
In that order.
1, 2, 3. Just like you did.
That's the order. And that's the order they came in. No, it was Grand Canyon first. Sorry. Then, Hawaii. The order you said them in.
Tell me about those experiences and what it was like when you went as a family to these places? How did that affect you as actors, and how was it to experience that? Susan?
Well, I'm glad.
I remember arriving in Hawaii.
I'm glad you asked that because it turns out that I have something, Michael, that I've been meaning to return to you because
it's good luck. It's good luck for this one.
For God's sake,
luck.
somebody please put that thing back.
Yeah, really. 2020 is bad enough. Will you please bury that, Barry?
Vincent Price is not going to like that one bit.
Oh,
it has to be
that's
accompanied
funny.
with the music, you know, every time this was up. You'd think we would say, wait a minute, something bad is about to happen.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I have a little anecdote. I was at a table at a wedding reception about a year ago, and the woman across from me said, "You're Mike LOOKILAND?" And she said, "I met you in Hawaii." That was my dad's construction site that they used to film that
fun.
scene. She's my same age. She said, "We came to this set and met you because that was my father's construction site." And, you know, of course, for the production, they just grabbed, we're only there for half a day. They just grabbed whatever construction site was happening at the time that they could, you know, that locations could wrangle. And she had come out to meet us. Isn't that funny?
And
But
now
it
it's a
would've
tourist
only been-
center.
It would have only, yeah, right. It was what?
Now it's a tourist center, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, right.
people
yeah.
wanna go
Yeah, they
visit
never
where
finished the
It
building.
gets
on the
visited thousands of times a day. And it's good luck.
Yeah.
When we arrived,
In
Robert
Hawaii.
Reed had gotten their head up, and so had Barry. Yeah. And we were greeted at the airport by our director, Jack Arnold, and Bob. And anyway, we all got to our hotel, and I was disappointed because it was raining a little bit. And I wanted to go swimming. And Bob said, "Oh, nobody pays attention to the rain here. We'll go swimming." And all of us, except I don't think you were there, Barry, but Mike and Chris and Eve and Maureen and Florence and Bob. And Bob had me on his shoulders, and we were all out in the ocean. And people's heads started to turn, and they'd see one. Oh wait, there's another. And
Great.
I remember feeling very proud, thinking, well, they must think that we're a real family. And I was proud of that because there we were getting along like a real family, because we did get along like a real family.
Well, I think that's part of even the very top of this. We said, you know, people grew up with this as a family. When you tell people that the show was 5 years, people feel like it was 15 years because we feel like we grew up with you. And the episodes that everyone knows, there's some people that are mentioning that they, you know, can watch just a couple minutes of the show, know exactly the episode, and know exactly what they were feeling the first time they saw that. Brian Nussbaum had a question similar to that. We thank him. Eric Levitt says, "Your show helped me with having autism. You're the best cast. What was your best episode that you love to this day?" So we'll let Eric ask each of you. We'll start with Barry and go on through. What's your favorite episode and why?
I think in retrospect, it would be the first episode when mom and dad get married and the boys are meeting the girls for the first time. There was a kind of an authenticity to that because we didn't know each other. We were learning about each other. We were taking on this new project. There was an innocence to it, and it also set the tone for the humor and the type of show it was going to be, like particularly when the wedding cake fell on, Dad Brady's face. So we knew that it was going to be big and broad, and here are all these people. And so that's what I reminisce about when I see that episode. The honeymoon, it's called. Right?
I have a couple. One is the one where Greg had to make a movie for his high school history class, and we got to mess around and do slow-mo and do fight scenes, and it was just different. And the other one is the one where Bobby was featured in that episode, and he couldn't win an award. All his brothers and sisters had trophies and awards, and the reason the reason that one is precious to me is because Bob Reed directed it.
Mm.
They let Bob Reed direct a couple of episodes, and that was one of them. And that was special for me.
Mine is one that I'm not in very much, which might be why I like it. But it's centered around Greg and Peter. And I remember watching it, and it's the one where they went on a double date, and Peter.
Cyrano to Brady.
No, that one is no. This is the one
where he's hiding in the bushes.
After,
No,
and he wears a fake mustache.
Right.
And
That was
he's
a
eating
fake mustache?
Buttered popcorn.
Yeah, and he's eating his mustache along with it. And I remember watching that one and thinking, this is genuinely funny. And the chemistry between Chris and Barry was so good. And I thought, this one has actually made me laugh out loud. So it's kind of a favorite. Not a favorite to do. The favorite ones to do are the ones where we travel.
Hawaii.
So good questions also.
I wish that I knew what scene it was when Jack Arnold, our director, one of our favorite directors, he left us to do the scene. He went into the
room.
The scene was in the den, or sorry, the scene was in the kitchen, and he went into the family room and broke out a magazine and laid down, and he said, "Okay, roll, action." And we played the scene, and then he said, "Okay, cut. How was that?" And we all went, "Good." And he goes, "Okay, print it. Moving on." I wish I knew what scene that was. I can't remember, but that would be my favorite episode. He was a lot of fun, and he directed the Hawaii episodes as well. And he also, just by the way, directed The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I had soundtrack
the real deal.
from the sci-fi movies he directed and had him autograph them.
Jack Arnold also directed many of the original Hawaii Five-0 series with Jack Lord.
Really? I didn't know that. Awesome.
So
I love that.
The original 5.
I saw him when I was in high school. I don't know if I've told you guys, I was not attending class. Me and my best friend were across the street at a coffee shop, and Jack Arnold was there and came over to the table, and he was just lovely.
Yeah, very cool.
He didn't ask me why I wasn't in school.
Oh, well, we know you're
Nobody's
cutting.
looking for me.
Pretty much it.
That's
So
great.
one of the other fun parts of the series, of course, was different guest stars that appeared. Wanda, whose birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, Wanda.
Happy birthday.
Wanda, 74 years old, Wanda. She wants to know, each of you, who your favorite guest star was on the show. And appropriately, I've put one of the guest stars behind me here. Barry, who was your favorite guest star, and why was it Don Drysdale?
Well, Don, Don, of course, is the iconic Dodger pitcher, and I was just learning about baseball when they were in the World Series, and he's a very large man, 6'5", and he can be quite intimidating, but was really very kind and took time with us. He played catch with Michael and Chris and I in the backyard, and really did show me how to throw a curveball, and so I was very impressed. And as a budding baseball little league player myself, that was quite a thrill.
And Mike?
Joe Namath.
Oh,
Hard
It
to
was-
beat that.
they-
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like church when Joe Namath was walking, through the stage. People were reverent. I mean, he was the biggest thing ever. But he was completely casual and very cool, and fun to be around. And he told me a few years ago, when we actually were together at an autograph show, briefly, he said, "Mike, hardly a day goes by in my life that somebody doesn't ask me, what was it like to be on the Brady Bunch?" And so, as big as he is and was and still is, we're the Brady Bunch is it's just something that everybody has some sort of touch with. And it's been a real pleasure to be part of something like that for all these years.
And Susan,
So for
did you
Joe,
have
it was about right up there with throwing a touchdown pass to win the Super Bowl. Okay.
No,
to you,
all
the
it does
touchdown
now,
pass to
all
you
it-
to win the
all
Super
it-
Bowl.
All it is now is, is a hassle because he has to keep answering questions about the Brady Bunch. But back then, it's a big deal.
Well, Davy Jones said a similar thing to me, that he said, it doesn't matter how many hits I have or what I do, everybody talks about the episode of the Brady Bunch. And while we were over the moon, thrilled to have him on the set, I'd have to say personally, I have a very special favorite in Vincent Price, because my brother raised me on horror films. And so I was very aware of who Vincent Price was. And while he was very nice on the set and everything, he came back and did our Hideous Variety Hour. And not only did he, he knew my name. Now that's very unusual. Nobody ever memorized our real names. And here he was, a few years later, we're on the Variety Hour, and he comes over to me and says, "Hello, Susan." And we started talking. We talked about painting because he was an artist. And then we talked about cooking. And he was so nice and made me feel so special.
Yeah, no, those are definitely great choices. Want to read just a few more comments from people. We'll get to some questions too, but Lee Barrett Miller says, thank you, Lee Barnett Miller says, thank you guys. I'm 51. You all were my childhood, which is great. Linda, again, she said for one of her promo ads at work during lockdown, they copied the Brady theme format, which was a great laugh for them. Bertha Miller has some virtual hugs for you. So thank you, Bertha. And Brady World has a question that I'll alter slightly. They want to know about a Very Brady musical, but I also want to know, in the same vein as that, just talk about you guys branched off into your own, what was a real touring singing group. What were some of your favorite songs that you performed?
Our parents made those costumes that are up there behind you. Our parents literally made those costumes.
Sewing machines.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. And we got up on stage and did a number. I wish I had some more video of that, because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the only commercial video of us performing live was at the Hollywood Bowl, an evening with Puff and Stuff and Sid and Marty Krofft characters, and we did a couple of numbers. And it's really funny because my son is in a band and they were auditioning singers, and the singer, I was there, and the singer wanted to sing Long Tall Sally. And, afterwards, my son and I were talking, I'm like, I sang that song at the Hollywood Bowl. Mark's like, really? And I found the video and I texted it to him. He's like, wow.
I was at a Grateful Dead concert when I was about 18, and it was at the Orange Show in Orange County. And the Grateful Dead came on, they would encore sometimes with Johnny B. Good. And it kind of freaked me out just a little that I had sang Johnny B. Good on that exact same stage.
Wow.
Is that crazy? Is that wild?
I love it.
A plane crashed into that building and it burned to the ground. Just, there's a little tidbit of historical information.
It really would have been cool if Jerry F. Garcia for encore had done Sunshine Day.
Right. That would have blown everyone's mind.
Yeah.
For sure.
It would have got everybody
more than usual.
Actually, people would have liked it. I'm sure he would have put a great twist on it.
So a couple more comments. Linda, again in New Zealand, who's one of our favorite viewers of all of our experiences, says, "Thank you, Brady Bunch cast, for the virtual experience today. You were perfectly cast. We love watching your show forever. Thank you, Wizard World." Janelle Craner says, "I'm 5 again. This is fantastic." I mean, I agree with Janelle. We all feel when we're transported back to another time. A lot of us saw this show, may have missed it. It was just below the time when it would have been, but it was on reruns forever and ever. So and it lives forever. That you cannot go, a trip around the dial on a day and not find it somewhere, which is really great. Sabrina Worf says, "So the Brady Bunch boxes was like a premonition for the future," meaning now we're all on these Zoom chats and Zoom calls, and everyone calls it. Some call it the Hollywood Squares. Most of us prefer to call it the Brady Bunch one. So thank you for that comment, Sabrina. We'll probably do one more quick question, and then we'll kind of run it around. What happened to Fluffy and Tiger, guys? I mean, Fluffy disappears right away, and Tiger. Tiger, we'll start with Mike, because Mike, I think you were the closest to Tiger. You had the real close Tiger episodes there.
Yeah, Fluffy was a one-shot deal. She was the motivation for the cake in the face gag in the pilot, right? Tiger. Oh, look, he's. You were prepared with the background. With the dead laurels behind the thing.
They let us paint that. Cat house.
Fluffy's house stuck around for a while, but there was no Fluffy.
Fluffy.
Anyway, I'm going to defer to Susan for the Tiger story. How much time you got? Go, Susan. The Tiger.
Well, I'm Ellie Mae Clampett here. Fluffy was actually a boy, because 75 to 80% of all orange tabbies are male. But Tiger, the original Tiger's name was Chip, and he was only in the pilot. Our next Tiger, I believe his name was Rupert.
You're right.
I remember him as being the friendliest. He got hit by a truck, and they had to replace him during his big episode where Jan gets allergic to Tiger. And so I don't know how the trainer did it, but he found a dog that looked just like Tiger, brought him in, but he wasn't trained. And so they actually had to nail the dog's collar to the floor to get him to stay in place so that all the boys could say goodbye to Tiger. Because he was, and they didn't nail the dog, they just nailed the collar. Still was pretty mean, but they had to get him to stay still. He wasn't
Susan,
trained.
which one was in A Boy and His Dog with Don Johnson?
Well, no, I'm getting to that. Then the final Tiger, whose name was actually Tiger, he was fired partly because he couldn't take to the stairs real well. He wouldn't run down the stairs, and I understand why. They're open stairs, and having had open stairs and a large dog, I know that they're terrifying to dogs. Anyway, he got fired, but that didn't stop him. He became a regular on Cher's variety show. After she split from Sunny, she had her own, and he was a reoccurring character that would come on with her. And then he was in a cult movie favorite called A Boy and His Dog, where he co-starred with Don Johnson. And they tried to give him some kind of a doggy Oscar for it, because he's so good in it.
And now you know everything there is to know
That's the story of Tiger.
About Tiger. There was 4 of them, apparently.
That's almost as many as Dukes of Hazzard had Dukes of Hazzard cars.
Just to add a little bit to the stories that you were telling, the episode in which we lost Rupert, the dog number 2, was the one where Jan was allergic to the dog, and the boys were going to have to give their beloved dog away, but just in time we discovered it was the flea powder and not the dog, so we changed the flea powder and got to keep the dog, except he didn't finish the episode. In real
irony
life.
there. There's an irony in there. But again, those are the kinds of episodes that folks of a certain age, or even the young kids now that watch it, just you've seen them over and over and over again. And like that one gentleman had said, Sean, in our chat. You know, he can instantly recognize from a screen or from a couple seconds just what it is and how it felt the first time and how it feels when you revisit it. Want to just go around the room here before we finish up, as we're running short on time, and just have each of you just kind of tell us something either you're working on or a cause that you've got going, or just anything, a goodbye to the fans, a hello to the fans. Barry, we'll start with you.
Okay. I think that a lot of questions, a lot of things about what's going on and clips and things like that can be found on my website. That's probably the easiest one-stop shopping. And it's my name, Barry Williams. And then you need to add official at the end of that, .com, BarryWilliamsOfficial.com. The reason, because there are other Barry Williamses, some that parents would not like their children to meet up with. So you go to BarryWilliamsOfficial.com. Traveliers is my trio, and I travel with them. That's a band that we have. Lots of 70s covers, original tunes. It's Uptown, Get Town, intimate. We do stories, have fun. Sunshine Days in the set list. We have a great time with that. So kind of like living the Johnny Bravo dream, if you will. And living in the Ozark Mountains and just loving it.
Awesome. Mike?
I ran, or I've been running my concrete countertop company for well over 15 years. And I sort of let the current situation with the COVID be my excuse to flirt with retirement. And so at one point my wife said, well, you might have mentioned that. But anyway, I've been staying at home a lot, which is, I have a nice place to live. I've been home a lot doing years worth of pent up yard work, renting log splitter. I mean, if you saw my yard, you'd understand. I rented a log splitter for over a week, and now I have enough firewood for about 5 years. We heat our house, by the way, with, if I could tilt down, oh, maybe I can. There you go. We heat our house with wood to a large extent. But I actually am in a Grateful Dead cover band. And we have a gig now, finally. We had one gig, Masks On, during the summer. And we have a gig booked for next week and a half from now. And so that's fun for me because, I'm an old deadhead. But yeah, I'm like flirting with retirement. And that's a big deal. So my wife and I like to travel. And one of our sons lives in Eastern Europe. And we go to see him every once in a while. We always hit Iceland on our way home. If you have the chance to go to Iceland, I highly recommend it. And I'll be in New Zealand one of these days too. So look out. Life is good. Life is good to date. Isn't that brings up one thing I've always wanted to point out, is that what are the chances that all 6 of us, there's only 3 of us here now, but what are the chances that all 6 of us kids, I see you nodding, would have turned out, like made it this far into our 60s, almost. Me and Susan are the only ones that aren't in our 60s quite yet. Will be soon, very soon in my case.
Well, yeah.
What are the chances that all 6 of 6 child actors on a TV show would have made it and been where we are now and done okay and are alive, for God's sake? I think that says a lot right there to the staying power of the show and how it was originally established with good people and good families. It still feels good to be in that situation. This situation.
And Susan?
Well, I teach children acting, which is something I got into kind of, really dragging my feet. I didn't think I wanted to do it. And my boss convinced me, and she runs Vibe Performing Arts Studios in Santa Clarita, California, where there's music, there's even magic. I mean, there's all kinds of performing arts. There's your, oh, my cat wants
Fluffy.
Fluffy. And like I'm currently teaching what I like best, which is a filmmaking class, and get together with the kids and we write the script. We always do some special effects and
Not acting.
Movie and I.
Not acting.
Well,
Not
you know,
acting.
there isn't much
Film
time for acting, so that's what suffers the most. But yeah, I'm not teaching the acting right now because I enjoy the filmmaking a lot more. I like to edit. I'm currently in the process of moving, and I will have the room now to get off of the computer and do something that I'm really itching to do, which is to paint with real paints. Again, I made my living as a graphic artist for 20 years. My aunt an illustrator, and I've been, doing the digital thing, but I want to get back to the canvas, and hopefully it'll all work out.
No, it's great. Just some last comments from fans. Tom Felice, amen, Mike, to what you said. Well said. Linda from New Zealand definitely wants to see you when you're there. It's the greatest country down under, she said. And Lee Barnett Miller
Linda.
said, we're all so glad you all are alive and well, which is, I think, a perfect way to end this. So, folks, don't forget, wizardworldvirtual.com is the place to go for the autographs, recorded videos, and those one-on-one live chats that are coming up next Saturday, October 31st, same time that we did this, 4 o'clock Eastern time. We'll start all those. So if you're watching this on replay, or even if you're watching it live, you can go right to Wizard World Virtual now and check all that out. You can also check out our other events we have coming up tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Doctor Who, 4 o'clock Eastern, it's Rogue One from the Star Wars universe, and next Saturday, Game of Thrones. Those are the next 3 of a whole bunch of things that are coming up. Be sure to check out wizardworldvirtual.com for all those. For Barry Williams, Mike Lookinland, and Susan Olsen, I'm Jerry Milani. Thanks so much for joining us today on Wizard World Virtual Experiences. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.